Have you ever looked at a tournament draw and realized the biggest danger isn't waiting in the later rounds? It's standing directly in front of you from the very beginning? That's exactly the situation Alex Eala finds herself in. When the Washington DC Open draw was released, nearly every headline focused on one potential blockbuster matchup: Alex Eala versus defending champion Leylah Fernandez. It sounded like the story everyone wanted to tell. But there's a problem. Before anyone can start talking about that showdown, Alex has to survive one of the toughest opening round matches of the entire tournament. Her first opponent isn't just another player trying to make a run. She's an Olympic gold medalist, a former world number 4, and someone Alex has already experienced heartbreak against in one of the most dramatic matches of her young career. And here's what makes this even more fascinating. If Alex somehow escapes that opening battle, she could immediately face a player who defeated her earlier this season. Suddenly, what looked like an exciting tournament becomes one of the most difficult weeks of her career. So why is this opening match far more important than most people realize? Why could the next few days completely reshape Alex Eala's 2026 season? And why does one seemingly ordinary number, just 70, tell the entire story? Let's break it all down. Before discussing opponents, rankings, or predictions, there's one statistic every Alex Eala fan should understand. That number is 70. Not her ranking. Not her age. 70 ranking points. That's all the points Alex has to defend during the entire North American hardcourt swing, including Washington, Toronto, Cincinnati, and the US Open. At first glance, that may not sound significant. In reality, it gives her one of the biggest opportunities of any player on tour. Here's why. The WTA ranking system isn't based only on how well you're playing today. It compares your current results with what you achieved at the same tournaments 1 year earlier. If you perform better than last season, your ranking rises. If you perform worse, points disappear. For many of the sport's biggest stars, this creates enormous pressure because they're defending hundreds, or even thousands, of points earned during deep tournament runs last year. Alex's situation couldn't be more different. Her 2025 North American swing was interrupted by injuries and early exits. Outside of a modest run at the US Open, she collected very few ranking points. That means almost every victory she earns over the next month adds directly to her total. Instead of trying not to lose points, she's playing with the freedom to gain them. That's an advantage very few players have. And it makes Washington the perfect place to begin building momentum. The Mubadala Citi DC Open isn't just another tournament on the calendar. It's the first major stop before Toronto, Cincinnati, and finally the US Open. Players who find their rhythm here often carry that confidence through the rest of the hardcourt season. But confidence alone won't help if your first-round draw is brutal. Unfortunately for Alex, that's exactly what happened. Despite reaching a career-high ranking after her remarkable Wimbledon performance, she wasn't seeded in Washington. With only 8 seeds protected in a stacked field filled with Grand Slam champions and top 20 stars, being unseeded meant she could draw almost anyone. And she did. Standing across the net will be Qinwen Zheng. Although injuries have pushed Zheng down the rankings, anyone who follows tennis knows her current position doesn't reflect her true level. She's a former world number 4. A Grand Slam finalist. And most importantly, the reigning Olympic singles gold medalist. Players with that kind of resume never become easy opponents. In many ways, they're even more dangerous when returning from injury because they have nothing to lose. No pressure. No expectations. Only the desire to prove they belong back among the world's elite. That's exactly the challenge waiting for Alex on opening day. But statistics tell only part of the story. What makes this matchup truly compelling is the history between these two players. Their first unforgettable battle came at the 2023 Asian Games. Back then, Alex was still an emerging teenager trying to prove she belonged on the international stage. Qinwen entered that match as the overwhelming favorite. The opening set reflected exactly that. She dominated Alex 6-1 and looked ready to finish the match quickly. Then everything changed. Facing elimination, Alex refused to surrender. She fought back with incredible determination, saved multiple match points, and somehow forced a deciding set in one of the most courageous performances of her early career. For a moment, it looked as though she might complete one of the biggest upsets of the tournament. She even grabbed an early lead in the third set. But experience eventually made the difference. Qinwen regained control, closed out the match, and continued her journey toward Olympic glory. Alex left with the bronze medal, but also with something far more valuable: belief. That match proved she could challenge one of the world's very best players under immense pressure. Fast forward to today, and everything has changed. Alex is no longer an inexperienced teenager hoping to surprise the tennis world. She's now one of the fastest rising stars on the WTA Tour, fresh off the biggest season of her career. But the question remains: has she improved enough to finally finish what she started against Qinwen Zheng? If Alex Eala can get past Qinwen Zheng, the challenge doesn't get any easier. In fact, it may become even tougher. Waiting in the next round could be defending Washington champion Leylah Fernandez, a player Alex already knows very well. This wouldn't be their first meeting. Earlier this season, the two faced each other on the clay courts of Stuttgart, where Fernandez controlled the match from start to finish, winning in straight sets. She applied constant pressure from the baseline, attacked Alex's serve early, and never allowed the young Filipina to settle into a rhythm. To Alex's credit, she didn't quit. She fought her way back late in the second set and nearly forced the match into a completely different direction. But Fernandez held her nerve and closed it out. Still, there's an important detail many fans overlook. That match was played on clay. Washington is a hard-court tournament. And in professional tennis, changing surfaces can completely change the matchup. Hard courts reward aggressive first-strike tennis, quick movement, and explosive shot-making, qualities Alex has repeatedly shown throughout her career. That's why comparing one clay court result to a hard court rematch doesn't always tell the full story. Even so, the psychological advantage still belongs to Fernandez. She knows she has beaten Alex before. Her coaching team understands what worked. And she'll likely try to repeat that same winning formula if they meet again. But Fernandez isn't arriving in Washington without pressure of her own. Unlike Alex, she's defending the full 500 ranking points she earned by winning this tournament last year. That means every match carries enormous weight. One unexpected loss could cost her a significant drop in the rankings. Alex doesn't have that burden. She enters this tournament with freedom. Every victory pushes her higher. Every upset creates momentum. Sometimes, playing without pressure becomes one of the biggest advantages an athlete can have. And that's exactly the position Alex finds herself in. What makes this even more interesting is how differently these two players arrive in Washington. Alex is coming off the best stretch of tennis of her career. During the grass court season, she announced herself as one of the fastest rising stars on the WTA Tour. In Berlin, she defeated former Wimbledon finalist Dana Vekic before shocking former Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina. Those weren't lucky wins. They were convincing performances against world-class opponents. Then came Wimbledon. Playing in the main draw with growing confidence, Alex produced one of the biggest victories of the tournament by defeating defending champion Barbara Krejcikova in straight sets. That historic win made her the first Filipina in the Open era to reach the fourth round at Wimbledon. More importantly, it proved she could handle the pressure of performing on one of tennis' biggest stages. Those results changed the conversation surrounding Alex Eala. She was no longer viewed as a promising young talent. She became a legitimate threat capable of beating elite players. That's why Washington feels so important. This tournament will reveal whether her breakthrough is becoming a new standard, or whether she still needs more time to reach consistent top 20 level. There has also been one notable change before the tournament even begins. Originally, Alex was expected to compete in doubles once again with Venus Williams after their successful partnership earlier this season. Instead, Venus made a late decision to play alongside Diana Schneider. As a result, Alex will focus entirely on singles. That could actually work in her favor. Without the physical demands of doubles, she'll have more energy for what promises to be one of the toughest singles draws she's faced all year. So what exactly is at stake this week? Far more than one tournament. If Alex defeats Qinwen Zheng, she'll immediately build valuable hard-court confidence heading into the biggest tournaments of the summer. If she then gets another chance against Leylah Fernandez, she'll have an opportunity not only to avenge an earlier defeat, but also to prove she's ready to challenge defending champions consistently. On the other hand, an opening round loss would bring the excitement surrounding this dream draw to an immediate end. That's how small the margins are. One match can completely change the storyline. Looking beyond Washington, the bigger picture is impossible to ignore. Strong results over the next several weeks could earn Alex one of the most significant milestones in Philippine tennis history: a seeded position at the US Open. Being seeded doesn't just look impressive next to your name. It protects players from facing the tournament favorites in the opening rounds and dramatically improves the chances of making a deep run. For Alex, that's the next major goal. And every ranking point she earns from Washington onward brings her one step closer. That's why this tournament matters so much. It's not simply about beating one opponent. It's about proving that her rise isn't temporary. It's about showing she belongs among the sport's elite. The road won't be easy. An Olympic champion may be waiting on opening day. A defending champion could be waiting immediately afterward. Few draws are more demanding than this. But great careers are often defined by moments exactly like these. Moments when expectations are low. The odds seem impossible. And one unforgettable performance changes everything. Now the stage is set. The questions have been asked. The only thing left is to see whether Alex Eala can deliver another chapter in what is already becoming one of the most exciting stories in women's tennis. One thing is certain. The road to the US Open truly begins in Washington. And this time, the entire tennis world will be watching.